I think, sir, we've got it right. Thank you very much.
Dr. David Clark.
Mr. Speaker, it is with some degree of pleasure that I rise to speak on this bill. It's very nice to be able to support a government bill. I'm invigorated, if that's what the member's asking. I am invigorated by this opportunity to speak on the bill. It is with some pleasure because this is a government, as we know, with the worst economic record of any government in the last 50 years. And it's not often we get a chance to actually speak in support of some of the policies they put through, Mr. Speaker. And so you Mr. Speaker, and the members of this House will understand how pleased I am to be speaking on this bill as a consequence. The Labour Party believes in the importance of a clean, green, diversified economy that creates sustainable jobs for New Zealanders. And the issue that we have is that this government is not creating that kind of economy more generally. We know, for example, in my home district, Otago, that there's the highest number of unemployed people in 22 years. 7,800 people are unemployed currently, and that is not a proud record for this government. But here we have a genuine attempt, I think, to diversify the economy. And so I compliment this government on this. The R&D tax credits are an issue. Mr. Bridges across there raises the issue of mining, and no doubt he's trying to draw attention in this context to the cuts at Oceana Gold that have taken place in the last week in Otago under this government because of its lack of growth generally, because of its poor economic record. But here we have an attempt to genuinely diversify the economy, to look at the issue of patents and what the right balance is between the interests of inventors and patent owners and the incentives on them to develop and produce new technologies, new ways of doing things and new ideas, and the interests of society as a whole, which we know can result from these new inventions and ideas. And we think that this is a good bill because it does attempt to balance those two interests. First, allowing innovators to profit from their inventions, and second, ensuring the monopoly rights that accompany patents are not unduly exploited. And that has got to be recommended to the House. The absolute novelty test, New Zealand will finally catch up with the rest of the world on that, and that means a patent will be invalid if the invention was not new or was obvious in light of information available anywhere in the world at the application date. So the bill does tighten New Zealand's overly generous patent law. I want to just pick up briefly on something the previous speaker, Mr. Jonathan Young, the current chair of our Commerce Committee, raised. He raised the issue of Big Brother and said that tried to frame this debate in terms of international trade and particularly the Big Brother issue. I think, though, it must be on record that the complaint New Zealanders have about the process with the passing of the GCSB bill was that it wasn't properly investigated. The previous illegal spying acts had not been investigated, Mr. Young. The Henry report and the leaking of the Kitteridge report, the various issues and bungles by the government were not exposed to transparency, not even to an independent investigation. And New Zealanders want to know that their spy agencies are acting in their interests and not in some other interests. And it would have been a good process for the government to appoint an independent inquiry to sort out those matters before the law was changed to make illegal what was previously legal. So I think it needs to be put on record that these two things are not easily likened and pulled under the same banner. Mr. Young is drawing a very long bow there. New Zealanders are not happy with the progress of that bill. But here we are protecting ideas and concepts using patents and protecting the intellectual property that will create the kind of economy that we need to ensure a prosperous future for our country, a country that is going to prosper from the likes of the ideas of the Hamilton Jet, the Gallaghers of this world, the Scott Technologies and so on, to make sure the appropriate protections are in place and the public good interests are protected in the longer term. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Stephen Browning.